Gloria, I want to get your reaction first and foremost this morning to the mistrial, please.
Well, as I said earlier, you can never underestimate the blinding power of celebrity, but justice will come. The prosecutor has decided that he will retry this case. What I think will be important in the retrial is whether or not the court will permit the prosecutor to call more than one accuser. In other words, what are called more prior bad act witnesses. In this case that just ended, in a mistrial, the court had only allowed one accuser in addition to Andrea Constant to testify, and that was Kelly Johnson, who is my client and who was very courageous in testifying. But the prosecution had sought 13. He wanted to call 13 prior bad act witnesses to the witness stand. The court did not allow that. The court could have allowed that under Pennsylvania law, but did not. The court did not state its reason for denying the prosecutor's request to call the 12 other prior bad act witnesses. I hope that decision will be reevaluated in this second trial, because I do think it may make a very important decision and difference in this case.
You know, that's what I wanted to ask you, Gloria, if I may. You know, you said what you would do differently is try to get the voices of those 12 women to testify. But that being said, you know, the DA, Kevin Steele, said that, and I could be wrong, that he doesn't necessarily have any regrets. That was my interpretation of his press conference, but he does want to do this again. What would you do differently? Because, you know, how do you know that the judge is going to allow those 12 voices to be heard if he didn't allow it, if this judge didn't allow it the first time around?
Well, we don't know. But what I'm saying is, I think it would be helpful to the jury if they could also hear from other accusers. And the reason is that when the prosecutor in this trial that just ended argued to the court why he wanted to be able to call 13 prior bad act witnesses, he indicated because he believed that it could help to prove an absence of mistake by Mr. Cosby. In other words, an absence of mistake about whether any Andrea Constant could have consented. In other words, he wanted to prove, or attempt to prove, through the testimony of other accusers, that Mr. Cosby had a common scheme and plan to provide drugs or alcohol in some way to incapacitate women, and then to sexually assault them, and that if that was his plan, and if he had done that with other witnesses, and if the jury believed the testimony of those witnesses, then he would know that an incapacitated woman could not consent to being sexually assaulted, to having her breast groped, to having her genital area
I do want to interrupt you.
Subject of digital penetration.
I do want to interrupt you respectfully, of course, because I want Jewel to be able to be heard as well. And Jewel, I just want to ask you, how are you feeling today? We heard from you earlier. I want to get your reaction from the news this morning, and what message do you want to be heard today?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, that, and I may be paraphrasing, not getting the quote word from word, in the words of the late, great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that in the surrounding times of disappointment, great disappointment, there is infinite hope. And so I have infinite hope that we will prevail. We must continue, all of us, however many times we need to continue to get it right until we change society and end rape and violence against women and any survivor,
All right, Jewel Allison, thank you for your bravery in speaking out today. Gloria, thank you so much for joining us. I presume this isn't the last time we will hear from both of you. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.